Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Rock Fantasy Files. This week we take a look back on the year 2023. Snap, you missed it. I mean, where did that year go? To me, it seems like it just started, and here we are in 2024 already. I asked the guests tonight to list their favorite albums of last year. Some people have got 5, some people have got 10, some people got 16 or 20. But we're going to go around tonight and we're going to see what everybody was listening to last year and what they were digging. Tonight we've got John McEntee from the mighty Incantation, of course, one of the founding fathers of the Rock Fantasy Files. We got the Ravenous Ghoul, who also goes by Omar, good friend and longtime customer. We got Count Ralphus, the local metal historian, also from the Hudson Valley Squares and Sea of Tranquility channel. We got Jim Sinon from the mighty Sick Bay, who's going to be playing at Quinspins next week, supporting Escula Grind, Camayarda, and Slow Pulse. That show is still $20 if you're in the area. Come over, buy a ticket, and come check out the show. We've got someone new. We got B-Rock from Rock with B-Rock podcast. He's the first time ever on the channel, and he came along with his friend Tony Dio. So Tony Dio's back. We got Ove staying up all night, our vampire from Norway. We got Mr. Ed Farsley from Armageddon Productions. We got Brad Mader from Dean Guitars and Must Not Kill down in Tampa, Florida, who are a little jealous because he's got good weather today, probably. And, of course, we got Denny Bar from the Mighty Aggression up there in the Northwest Territories. So let's get started. And Ralph had an idea of doing 5 and 5. I don't know. You want to do that? You want to start out? You want to start
5 and then just do 5 and then go back around for honorable mentions and then
why don't we do that then? So
they got a lot of them.
Now last week we got a comment. Whoever I let go first was the boringest guy on the group, and the guy wouldn't watch the rest of the show.
Yeah.
So who do we pick as the most boring tonight to go first? I don't think we'll go with boring. I'm going to start off with Count Ralphus because he's never boring, and he's going to do his 5. Some people may have known some of these picks from Hudson Valley Squares a couple weeks ago because a couple of us were on that, but I've changed my top 5 a little bit because this can change all the time. You look at something and
daily.
Like, wait a minute, that album's, you listen to a little bit more and you're like, yeah, that's moving up a couple notches.
Well, that's great that you say that because that exact same thing happened to me, but only with one album out of my top 5. But I had listened to both of these albums today, and last time when I did it on the Hudson Valley Squares, I said how the Crypta just barely missed out on being in my top 5.
Okay.
So now I'm switching that one in the top 5 now, and I'm going to replace the Obituary. So they were kind of like a tie for top 5, but I got to go with the Crypta. I listened to them both today, and man, the Crypta is so fucking good. I just love everything about it. The production, her vocals, the songs are really great, catchy, real vicious shit. And so then the rest are basically the way I had them. I got Cannibal Corpse, Chaos Horrific. They never let me down. They always put out just consistently great albums. Same thing with the Autopsy, the new Autopsy album. Make Them Beg for Death by Dying Fetus, wearing the Dying Fetus shirt. And I got Incantation, Unholy Defecation. That's how you say it, right?
Sorry.
The cover really good. It looks like the beast is like shitting stuff out the back, so that's probably why he calls it Unholy Defecation.
Hell yeah.
Oh, and then my number 1, I have to go with the Incantation is fucking amazing. I've been listening to it nonstop since I got it. Fucking, I'm sure it's gonna be on like everybody's list.
It better be, right, John?
My number 1.
Yeah. Get kicked off the show.
It's two great albums in a row, man. Fucking great job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The latest All Out War, Celestial Rot, is my number 1. I got it on. I got a bunch of the vinyl versions. I got the splattered and orange and white.
Wow.
Yellow.
You would like this band, huh?
Oh my God.
Wow.
Nice.
Damn.
Nice.
I ain't one of those fucking assholes that buys all the different colors and stuff. I got them all gifted. because they
You're on it, right? You sing, you make a guest
I got
appearance.
to do like the backup guttural backup vocals throughout the album, and so when
cool.
they came out, they gifted me all of them, and they gave me the
Yeah, you
banner.
should. Yeah, that's all. They got to pay you something. They can pay you in records.
He bought me some beer. I think he bought me lunch too a couple times.
That's awesome.
That's it.
Cool. We're going to head over to the guy right next to me on my screen, at least. I don't know how it looks at home or wherever you guys are watching. I got Omar, the Ravenous Ghoul from the upper New York area, maybe the Adirondacks. So we got another mountain creature here.
Near Syracuse, but
Near Syracuse.
Okay.
Well,
So
kind of. The Finger Lakes.
I have 16, but I told you I can go through it real quickly if you would like.
Can you do your top 5 now, and we'll come back and get the rest as
Sure.
honorable mentions? Okay, great.
Okay, I'll do top 6, but I'll stop at 10. I won't do 10. I'll leave the top 10.
Okay.
Really having a problem with that.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Start off 16, Immortal, new one. Love it.
Nice.
Next, 15, Incantation. Love this one too. So this is a constant banger on my turntable.
Thank you.
Next, I'm not sure how to pronounce the name of this band. It's Stortregen. They're from Switzerland. Mind-blowing technical death metal. So it's spelled Stortregen. The album is called Finitude. Incredible. So I recommend it. Next, the new one from Kevelatak. Always love this band. This is the second album with a new vocalist. They did a great job on that one. Next, Overkill. They've been around for 20 years now. This is, I'm sorry, 40 years
40.
now. 20th album. And then they're not slowing down. So next is number 11.
All right.
Panopticon. This is a one-man black metal band from Minnesota. New album came out in November. The rhyme of, what do they call it? I forgot, but this album is incredible black metal. So I recommend it. Give it a shot. There we are.
All right. So we're going to kick back and get the rest of your list in a little bit. As we move over to Jim Simon, he is from the band Sick Bay. Check him out. Look him up online if you haven't heard of him. Great original deathcore, hardcore, death metal, a little bit of mixture of everything, I would say. In my mind. Well, I don't know. So how are you doing?
Thanks, Steve, for having me on. I don't have any props, so I guess I'm going to be the boring guy tonight.
Yeah, not everybody has them, but
so I got my top 5. So I have Incantation, Unholy Defecation. The album rips beginning to end.
Well, thank you.
I have Obituary, and I almost bumped Obituary back out, but they're just so fucking good. Like, you know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I listened to it again today because I was like, someone gets a little, you know, but it's just good. Number 3, I have All Out War, Cerebral Rot. I think this is their best album in a long time. It's like dark, it's aggressive, it's a good change for what they've been doing, and it's definitely up there. My top 2, I keep all day. I was like, I don't know. I kept listening, thinking I didn't know what to do, but Cannibal Corpse, Chaos Horrific, the album is just slamming. You know, I thought their last album, I kind of figured, you know, older band, that's probably going to be their best album. It was so good, and that this album rips. It's like better than the last one. And so I guess that makes the Jesus piece so unknown. That album, I was like sleeping on them, and I didn't really hear their last release was their first full album, and I heard this and I was like, who the hell are these guys? And it's just brutal aggression from the beginning to the end. So that's my top 5.
Cool. All right. So we'll hop back around if you got some honorable mentions in a little bit. Hey, we got a new guy that's never been on the channel. Welcome tonight. We got B-Rock. Tell us a little bit about yourself, B-Rock. What do you do?
Just about anything it takes to get the music out there. I do a radio station called the Rock Altar on Live 365. I've been doing that since March. I also do my own podcast where I interview artists and, you know, the up and comers. I don't do so much the, well knowns. I do the up and comers, try to get them a little bit of a push.
Mhm.
I'm going to be the square in a round hole tonight, obviously, because I am more into the melodic, hair, hard rock. I'm not so much into the aggressive rock, but I appreciate
Okay.
it. It's, I'm just still stuck in the 80s, basically.
Cool, man. Well, let's hear what you
I
got
think
for
we
your
all are
top.
of some sorts.
Some sorts we all are, really. That's best generation.
We're just some of us are pushing 80.
Hey,
Feel like
Hey.
I'm 80.
I look like I'm 80. I feel like I'm 80, but I ain't 80. Okay, I couldn't find a couple today. I mean, I'm searching everywhere. Where'd they go? I don't know. But first off was Tigers of Pantang, Bloodlines. Man, I absolutely love the Tigers of Pantang. They kind of let me down for a little while there, through the years. And then they come back with this beast of an album. Bloodlines just absolutely scorches, in my opinion. Just fantastic album. Another album that caught me by surprise. I mean, they're on the Kivel Records label, and they have released albums. I think this is their fourth. Band called No Love Lost. They did an album called Bliss, and that was my favorite. I mean, I didn't think they'd ever top it. They released Last Call in, I think it was October. Absolutely smokes. Love them. Guitar work, harmonies, absolutely Scott Board, and the vocals is just on target. Number 3, this guy, Paul Lydell from Dangerous Toys and Dirty Looks. He also did a band called 99 Crimes about a year or two ago. That band fell apart. He started Paul Lydell's Scream Therapy. Absolute beast of a CD. I can't play it enough. Just, it's not Dangerous Toys. It's not Dirty Looks. It stands on its own. It is fucking great. Second, I really believe this should be on everybody's list out there. It's Vandenberg Sin. I mean,
Wow.
it's not 80s Vandenberg. This is not their slow song. I can't remember the slow song.
Wait.
But
Burning Heart.
Burning
Burning
Heart.
Heart. Yeah.
It is not 80s Vandenberg. They did 2020 back in 2020, and it just had a different feel to it, but it wasn't quite there yet. They released this. I was so looking forward to it, and absolutely not at all disappointed. Vandenberg, I saw him on the Monsters of Rock cruise, just fucking killed it.
I want to add, the singer on that album is Matt Slevin, who sang for Candlemass. He sang for Candlemass a few years ago.
Wow.
Great singer.
So good live, so good. I mean, I was absolutely just floored by these guys. And like I said, I cannot wait for the next one. Hopefully there's another one coming. And my top pick, I got into melodic metal so much this year. It was the European bands. It just kind of took me over a little bit. And back in June, Midnight City released In at the Deep End. And I just have not stopped playing this fucking thing. It is just so good. It just jets you back to Sunset Strip era bands, and just that harmonies and the big vocals, the big guitars. It's just such a great album. It's called In at the Deep End by Midnight City. That's my number 1.
Cool. I think we'll head right over to Mr. North Carolina. One of the guys in North Carolina, which is not John McEntee, but I'm going to go to Tony Dio next.
Okay.
If that's okay. I don't want to.
Okay.
We got
the original North Carolina guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he just moved. He just wanted to be close to you down there.
OG.
Yeah, I'm like the snowbird or something, right?
Snowbird.
You're the snowbird, I'm the free bird.
Free bird.
Hell yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a great year. There's a lot of good stuff comes. There's a lot of stuff I just have not even got around to hearing yet. And I mean, this always going to be like that. But just some stuff that I have listened to a lot since I've picked it up this year. The 5th album by High Spirits from Chicago, Safe on the Other Side. These guys are just great melodic hard rock. I hear a little bit of Maiden, a little bit of Thin Lizzy, a little bit of Triumph thrown in there. They play a lot of the metal festivals around the U.S. and all, and really cool band. Sirith Ungol.
Nice.
Actually,
Mhm.
their sixth album, and they've been around since like 1981. I think was their first album, and they've been around before that. Just a great band. They broke up for a little while, got back together in 2016, and they mix, it's kind of a doomy power metal with like fantasy lyrics. Always got great, album artwork. Just a really cool band. It's got a very unique sound. I can't think of anybody else that sounds like them. I mean, Tim's vocals are so unique as well. And I think it's just, I don't know if this will be their farewell album, but they've recently announced, I'm going to be touring after this year, or after these tour dates they've got booked or whatever. So anyhow, but yeah, Sirith Ungol, The Dark Parade. We're gonna go with one that a bunch of us had. I had KK Priest's Sermons of the Sinner on our list a couple of years ago, and this one is their follow-up. It's called The Sinner Rides Again, and it just continues on with that sound. It's got that kind of a modern Judas Priest sound. Ripper Owens is on it, of course, from Judas Priest, and so it continues with that sound. It's kind of borderline speed metal and power metal, and then some traditional type stuff in there as well. One that Mike mentioned a while ago, No Love Lost. I do really love this record. It's just the hooks. It's got catchy songs, great guitar work. Scott Board, amazing singer. You may know Scott. He was in the underground heavy metal band in the 80s that was on New Renaissance Records called Cerebus. Had an album out called Too Late to Pray. And this is more of his melodic side on this one. Cerebus was more, traditional heavy metal. Scott also this past year was originally announced to be the new lead singer for Vinnie Vincent Invasion, and that kind of crashed down. It just didn't happen, which is actually in his favor because
Thank God.
Getting mixed up with Vinnie Vincent would be a terrible choice for him, but he did get his name out there, and he is part of history now. So my number one, I just love these guys. Been fans, been friends with them for years. The newest by Raven, All Hell Lets Loose, All Hell Breaks Loose.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
It's just great, man. I love the album art on this. They've had this kind of cartoonish comic book art on the last couple of albums, and Raven do what they do best. I mean, it's just full, just chaotic heavy metal, a little speed metal thrown in. And I think the addition of Mike Heller on drums over these last few records has really just kicked them into a new gear, man. It's like that guy is just an amazing drummer. He's a younger guy, and he's pushing these guys, man, and they just do not disappoint. So Raven, All Hell's Breaking Loose is my number one, and I'll go back through some honorable mentions a little later.
Nice.
Sounds great. I'm going to stay in North Carolina since John was so disappointed I didn't pick him first. So I'm going to go to Mr. McEntee, and we'll get to hear what he has to say.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I went a little different this year because I figure that most of my top favorites would probably be taken already. So I wanted to go with some other stuff that I thought was really cool that came out this year.
Nice.
Yeah, where are my stuff at? Here you are. Okay. Well, the first one I have here is a band from Tennessee. They're called Piss Rot. And it's not necessarily maybe the best name ever, but they really play really great old school, kind of a Swedish style of death metal, something like Swedish or maybe old Scandinavian. Like I'm talking like really old, like it sounds like it could have been a demo from I don't know, like 89 or 90 or something like that. And the thing that's really cool about this band is these are young kids. I mean, I don't know how old they are, but they can't be far out of high school, if maybe still in high school, and they're playing old school death metal in a very cool and honest way. It sounds refreshing, but also comforting because you've heard like something in that vein before. It's almost, I think they mix their own their own sound with the old school Swedish style like Entombed and Crematory stuff like that. So it's a good thing. Let's see. Next, I have on the list, I have the new Profanatica album. I just love Profanatica. Paul Ledney. Obviously, I started Incantation with Paul Ledney back in '89 or something, and for me, it's always great to hear a new Profanatic album. And yeah, I just I like this. I guess there was a reason why I jam with him, right? I like the way he writes stuff, so it makes sense. The other one I don't have a copy of, unfortunately. I'm still trying to get it, is the Static Abyss album. I don't know if you guys heard of this. This was Chris Reefer from Autopsies, another side band that he has, and it's a great album. I mean, it's everything Chris does has a little bit of Autopsy tossed in there, I guess. I mean, he's doing vocals on it, so you always have that, but it's really cool, like a really cool kind of more epic-y sounding songs, I guess is the right way to put it. So yeah, it's definitely a killer album. Static Abyss, check it out. I realize a lot of people don't know about it. It's kind of one of those under the radar albums that came out, because even fans of Autopsy and stuff have not don't even know about the album. So yeah, that's something. What else I got here? Yeah, I don't know for sure how it's pronounced, but it's like Vladen or something like that. It's a new band from Cleveland, Ohio, and they play kind of like it's kind of brutal death metal, kind of old school sounding. Like, I mean, you can almost say it has an incantationist vibe, like an early like a Mortal Throw of Nazarene kind of vibe to it, but the guitar work on it is really, really cool. Really, it's kind of like if Mortal Throw of Nazarene album had like a really good solo guitar player playing over it. But like fits the songs and stuff. Isn't like over shredding or anything, but just has really nice harmonies and really nice intertwining parts in it and stuff. And actually, the main guy in the band, I lived at his house when I first moved to Cleveland. He played in a band there called Terror, not the hardcore band Terror, but the kind of thrashy death band called Terror. And he's done a bunch of stuff, Funeral Pyre, and he also was like a roadie for us for a while when I first like moved out to Cleveland. Even before that, he was actually one of the guys that brought us to Cleveland the first time. So I guess yeah, it's just there's a connection there, but it's also just a killer album. I'm always happy to hear friends of mine come up with some killer stuff, especially long-term friends like that. And then my final pick, number 5, is the new Autopsy album.
Nice.
It is fantastic. It's really it is probably my favorite of the last couple, and just is a great album. I mean, everything you want to hear with Autopsy's there, and but it sounds fresh. And yeah, that's that. That's my top pick. I mean, there's a bunch of great albums. It came out. I mean, the Suffocation's great. So I mean, the Cannibal Corpse put out great. The Crypto. There's just the list can go on forever with the band. Oh, there's one album I forgot to add to it too. Crap, I miscounted. My number 1 favorite album. I'm such a retard. I forgot. I picked Autopsy number 1 because I don't have the vinyl here in front of me. That's why I fucked up. Is the Aggression album, Frozen Aggressor, is my favorite album of the year.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, it really. I mean, Aggression. Anyone that knows me knows that Aggression's probably my favorite, or at least my top 2 like favorite thrash metal, underground thrash metal bands of the late '80s. And it was just every time their album comes out, I'm psyched. But this one definitely hit me. It just first time I listened to it, it was really brought back the vibe of the Final Treatment on this album a little more than maybe the other ones did. Even though the other ones are still great, I always get like get that great if it has that old school vibe to it, it makes me really happy to hear, especially a band that means so much to me and is a inspiration, influence. And I'm not just saying that because Sasquatch is here. For real, it's for me, to even know, you know, any of the guys in the band is a dream come true because, you know, back in the day, like I said, it's one of my favorite albums ever. So the Final Treatment. So the, you know, get the new one, what, how many 30, almost 40 years later to have a killer New Aggression album by, you know, a band that I grew up with is just it's really, really awesome. And I'm really happy for it. And I like this. I'm happy to see that's been getting a lot of great reviews and stuff. And I think the thrash metal world has you know, new contender. Finally, you know, Aggression's time has come, you know.
Cool.
Thank you, bud. Thank you.
It's the truth though. Yeah. So that's it for me.
You mean Denny didn't send you $1,000 to say that?
No, I sent him a couple thousand to say that.
Oh, okay, cool.
Still need to get it.
I still didn't get it yet either.
It really is a great
My
album.
one stop, my one stops hasn't had it. We'll get it though.
Yeah, I think is it on Extreme Music, right? I think it is. I didn't get a copy of it yet.
Massacre. Yeah, it's on Massacre.
Oh, it was a Massacre this time.
Yeah,
Okay,
I've listened to it on
awesome.
Spotify, but that's it.
Yeah, I've only been able to hear it on like Spotify and YouTube and stuff like that. But I definitely want to get the
Cool.
vinyl. It's fucking
I'll
killer.
get some. I'm getting some from the label. I'll just send it to you.
Cool.
Yeah, well, I'll buy it. I want to support the band.
Yeah.
I'll give it to you.
I'll buy them too if you send me a couple. That way I can sell it to the masses there.
Yeah,
There you go.
definitely check
Cool.
them out if you don't know, especially if you're into like, you know, any of those newer thrash bands that are playing like, you know, trying to play old school. Why don't you hear old school thrash
Mhm.
played by an old school band?
Yep,
It does it
cool,
right.
cool.
That set the standard.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for your input, John. We'll come back.
Try to keep it short.
Ah, that's good. And we'll come back.
I tried so hard to keep it short. I almost forgot my favorite album of the year.
I know. Anyhow, so I think I'm going to hop in and do my top 5 here, and then we'll go over to Ed and to Brad and Denny and Ove. I'm going to start out with the 16th studio album by American death metal veterans or legends, Cannibal Corpse, Chaos Horrific. People have talked about it already. My number 4 and is Mr. John McEntee and the Mighty Incantation.
Yes.
It's a solid record. We played it a ton in the shop this year, and it's my top death metal album of the year. So
you're too kind. You guys are just too nice to me.
That's very nice. We're all very, very nice. Now, my third album was not in my top 3. Wasn't even on my radar, sort of, when I did Pete Pardo's show a few weeks ago. But it's Irish. It's the 10th studio album by Ireland's Primordial, How It Ends. I have just been listening to this album and getting into it, and I got to see them once years ago. They don't come to the States very often. I don't really know how to describe them. They've got their own sound, and there's not too many bands that I listen to that are from Ireland. They're probably one of the only, other than maybe, let's say, the classics like Thin Lizzy and whatnot. But Primordial, I highly recommend it if you haven't heard it. My number 2 is the 16th studio album by Enslaved. Of course, turned more into a prog band now, or prog metal, or prog death metal, or whatever you want to call it. Heimdall, that's my number 2. And my number 1 is a band that I absolutely love, and it's Catatonia. It's their 12th studio album, Sky Void of Stars. I got to see the tour in November and love Catatonia. So it's one of the more mellow albums on my list, but they've always had a soft spot for me. So always dug Jonas and the guys. It's kind of weird.
It's a pretty popular album this year. I was kind of surprised that people really like that album. I mean, I'm just not a Catatonia fan, but
no, I really think it would be.
They hit a nerve with a lot of people, a positive one, you know.
And then Jonas coming back with Bloodbath for Maryland Death Fest. I see they've announced they finally got their visas after how many years they've been trying to get in, but they're planning on coming in with Bloodbath. So the death metal outfit that Jonas is in. So now we're going to head over. I'll come back with my rest. I'll bang through my rest of the list, but we're going to go over to Mr. Ed Farsley, then over to Brad Mader, then to Denny, and then to Ove, and then we'll wrap back around and give some honorable mentions or the rest of our list or whatever we've got going, because it's metal anarchy here.
All right, cool. For my top five, again, I chose some choices that not everybody chose. A lot of great records came out this year. A lot of great records. Number five, Tigers of Pantang, Bloodlines, just phenomenal record. I remember Tigers when they first started. Liked them way back in the early '80s, but because of all the other metal bands that around at that time, they just I kind of didn't really follow them. Kind of got lost in the radar for decades. Didn't listen to them. Rediscovered them, and they're absolutely brilliant. This record, phenomenal, great record. Number four, Sadist, Shadow Inside, another great record, another great return record. First record, almost 20 years. Kick ass record. Sadist, haven't lost a beat. Darren is now he did all the guitars and bass on the album, as well as his psychotic vocals, and just a brutal record.
It is a great album.
Absolutely great record. Let's see. Number three, Hellwitch, Annihilational Intercession, a band with
Another great album.
incredible title. I can't even say half the titles, pronounce half the titles on this album, but they're all fucking great. There's another band starting from 1984. Been around forever. I used to tape trade with Pat back in the early '80s, and just he hasn't changed a bit. He's the exact same maniac he was 40 years ago. Sounds the same, looks the same, plays the same. Fanatical, technical death metal done to perfection, absolute perfection. One of the best. I'm so glad to see this. Still kicking ass. Number two, Jag Panzer, The Hallowed. Just phenomenal band, phenomenal record. So glad to see they came back with a new record. I love the guys. I met them, Keep It True in 2014, thanks to King. Worked on it for a few years, bought them to St. Vitus, had a sold out show, became friends with them, just love the band to death. This new album is a very, very, what's the word here? Ambitious concept album. And it's just brilliant in every way. Every song flows one to the next, and it's just brilliant. And they had, got to be mentioned, the best ad promo campaign leading up to this album. Numerous postcards. They put out a graphic comic book, and just it was like a return to the '80s promos. It was fantastic, and just the best album. Number one, I agree with Tony 100%. Raven, All Hell's Breaking Loose. Oh my God, Raven have always been one of the best bands. They faltered a little bit, had a little ups and downs, but always a great band. Came back super strong the last few years. This album is almost up there with Wiped Out and All for One. It is so phenomenal. Mark and John haven't lost one bit. They're on the top of their game. John's vocals just absolutely phenomenal. Still hitting those high notes. And as Tony mentioned, the thing that really clinches this album is the drumming. Wacko is great. Joe is great. But Mike Heller has just brought a whole new dimension of intensity to Raven, and this album is just flawless. So that's my top five. I got five more special mentions for later, but take it away.
Cool. We're gonna head down to Florida and hang out with Brad Mader here, who's just changed his backdrop to the appropriate logo.
It took me a second to even figure it out.
I mean, I think
I was like, the whole time I'm like, oh my God, how the hell you change that?
Wasn't it you and Nico McBrain before?
Yeah, it was me, Nico, and my buddy Chris that passed away in the pandemic. So, and cheers to him, Little Dragon's Milk. I don't know if you guys can see that, but
okay.
Anyhow, John, great album, man. Incantation, definitely on my top five. Really
thank you,
man. I really dug it. Of course, I always keep tab on my old band, All Out War. So my list is pretty similar to Ralph's. But yeah, All Out War. I mean, I was in the band for a while, and it was a nice departure from what they did before to this album, which is a lot heavier. I was really surprised at what they did, and especially being a part of those guys for a while and then watch them do that it was nice. It was cool. I like a good change, Cannibal Corpse. That album is sick. I love that album to death, man. I think that's probably my number one. I didn't really put these in order. Just kind of threw them out there.
Mm-hmm.
New Dying Fetus. I always have a warm spot for those guys. I don't know what it is. I mean, every time they put out something, I think it's just killer. And that didn't, disappoint me at all. I thought it was a great album. And actually, I don't know that there's a, as you guys were saying, there was a lot of good albums this year. I mean, I like a lot of stuff. Even some albums I might not like the whole album, but there's a couple cool songs. I even like the new Code Orange. I mean, I think there was that song they did with Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins, I thought was amazing. It's a really catchy song. I mean, they kind of get off the rails a little bit. It gets a little weird, but yeah, it's a good album. But I like the new Cattle Decap too. I think that's pretty killer. So that's roughly my top five. I don't want to go on and on. I know you guys, I mean, I'm pretty much, I didn't even know that Jag Panzer put out a new album. I used to cover Warfare back in the day. I was pretty cool to hear. I was like, oh shit. Yeah. I haven't heard those guys.
You definitely learn some stuff when you do these episodes, even if you did research or
Oh,
what
yeah,
came
no.
out, you'll find, oh, wait a minute, that came out.
I definitely wanted to get involved with it tonight. It's just like,
there's so many albums that came out this year. It's insane. That's why I had to make the choice the way I did, because it's like there's just too many great albums. I could totally see why some of us, definitely have 10 or more, because it was just
It was
like
hard.
onslaught.
Yeah,
it was an onslaught of every
so
every
many
style
shows.
of music.
Yeah, and I saw so many shows this year too, and it was just so hard to like dial it down. I wanted to keep it top five because I know every time I get on this thing, man, we end up talking for like 3 hours or some crap. So
that's fine.
But that I'm gonna go with that. That's pretty cool.
Cool.
Well, yeah, John, I love the incantation. I think it good.
Thank you very much.
So
cool.
Happy you like it.
There you go.
All right, we'll swing back and talk with you a little bit. Mr. Denny Barth is here with his Montreal Canadiens hat today.
Beauty.
Oh yeah.
It's a real beauty, huh? Hey.
Beauty,
Hey.
So,
And the Great White North.
The Great White North. What a great year for metal. Like seriously. Like I must have listened to over 100 albums like this year, last year. And I feel like death metal kind of like reigned supreme into the 2023, but I'm just gonna be a rebel and just do whatever I want. So I'm gonna go with my honorable mention quickly. Night Demon, Outsider, great album. Overkill, Scorch, Crypta, Shades of Sorrow, Sadist, The Shadow Inside, and Sortilege or Sortilege from France with Apocalypso. If you guys like metal like Tigers of Pantang and that type of music, like Sortilege, Sortilege, freaking awesome. Now in order, at number 10, I'll do 5 now and I'll do my top 5 later. Number 10, KK's Priest, The Sinner Rides Again. They kind of remove a bit of the soccer chant that used to bug me. I don't know why every freaking
you and that soccer chant.
But like, I think for me, it gives me like a better view or understanding of KK Downing's impact in the old school Judas Priest, and you can tell by his composition and how he writes riff and things like that he was definitely a key component of Judas Priest. Great album. Then I got Autopsy, Ashes, Organs, Blood, and Crips. Wow, this is like what death metal in my mind like should sound like, and that from these guys it's just natural. They don't even try. This is how they live. Number 8, Venomous Concept. My friend Kevin Sharp and Shane Embury from Napalm Death are really like kind of weird. It's called The Good Ship Lollipop, and that's pretty much what it sounds like. It's really out there. These guys are weird. I toured with them before with Brujeria, and they're just crazy. It sounded a little bit like Oscar Do and like really weird stuff, but at the same time punk, and you gotta check it out. Venomous Concept, great album. Hell Ripper. I like kids playing like dirty trash that sing about Satan. If you sing about Satan, it's only 50% of the points. Then if you can deliver the music after that, I'm in. So Hell Ripper is Warlocks, Grim, and Withered Hags. They're from Scotland, I think. Really like that. And number 6, Cattle Decapitation, Terracide. If you want to be thrown in a meat grinder and like kind of like know what it feels like, listen to Cattle Decapitation. It's insane. These guys, like I mean, live, the drummer is like bigger than me, and I'm like 6'3", like 300 pounds. I don't even know how much I weigh, but the guy's bigger than me. And to play at that speed, very impressive. Cattle decapitation. It's if you want to like have your neighbor move away from you, put freaking cattle decapitation. It's gonna work every single time. Okay, I'll do my top 5 later.
All right,
That's a
so
great album. I love it.
you're doing Anarchy. You're doing it backwards, but also is Omar. So
He's a
we're all
rebel.
right. Rebels.
He does.
All
yeah,
right,
he
so
does what he
now
wants, Mark.
we're gonna snap our fingers and we're gonna be in Norway right now. Click. Here we are, Ovi. Welcome.
Yeah, I'll be a nice boy and do my top 5.
You're gonna do your top 5 or your bottom 5?
Top 5. I'm
All
gonna
right,
do
you're
it.
gonna do the good.
Follow
You're
the
gonna
program.
listen to the
Following the
rules.
rules.
Follow
Yep.
the rules.
I'm gonna start with Canada with Blood Ceremony.
Okay, cool.
The
Oh
always
man, I
remain.
forgot about that album. Shit. It's up
Happens
at
all the
work and I
time.
had it in my pile, but good album. I was listening to that quite a bit over it when it came out this year.
Yeah, it's so good. And I'm gonna go back and pay some homage to Immortal.
Yep.
War and Soul.
I got the box
Fantastic
set.
album. And then I'm gonna go to the UK to Mr. Carl Willits and Memoriam.
Oh,
Rise to
wow.
Power.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, fantastic album.
Cool cover.
I actually, the first song I made a sound sample. Well, I'm not the only one, but I'm part of the album. So that's kind of
Awesome.
cool.
You are.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
and Ralph,
it's like-
you and Ralph and are both on records.
Yes.
Other than John and Denny, of course.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna go on the wild side and take a modern metal band from England called Vexed. Full design and stuff. Negative Energy by Vexed.
Okay.
They are really up and coming. Their second album. It's real nice. I really like it. I've known them since before they released their first album. And my number 1 is the one, the only Incantation.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate that.
That's cool.
You guys are a little too kind, but I appreciate it.
I've been a fan for over 30 years, so it's
Well, thank you.
this is top notch.
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
Cool. So I guess we started out with Ralph. So we'll go back to Ralph for it. Ralph might have so many honorable mentions that we'll be here for about an hour. So if anybody wants to go.
There's so many that I didn't get around to actually buying, so I'm not going to go through I need to get the KK Priest and the Sarit Ungol and the Raven and Jag Panzer, like Brad said. I didn't even realize that was out. There's so many. I've been watching a lot of these top 10 lists, and there's so much shit out there that has been mentioned that sounds great and looks awesome, but it's just too much, So I'm just gonna move through a couple real quick ones. The Triumph of Death. It's a Resurrection of the Flesh live. It's a double. It's taken from 3 shows. Tom Warrior doing all Hellhammer songs. The Triumph of Death, really great. Came out in November. The Overkill, which has got mentioned a bunch. Great, consistent, great band. Live Mayhem album, pretty cool.
Nice.
Suffocation, first one with Ricky Myers. I think he did a great job. Killer album. Sadist.
Oh yeah. The Return.
This is an old one. The Doors from 1967, but it's a triple CD.
Nice.
I got it too.
Before, all remastered and shit. And another local band, 71 Super Creep.
Oh wow.
Like surf rock, punk with monsters and stuff. Really cool. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of other new stuff out there that I just haven't gotten yet. So I digression, I'd be holding that up, but we don't got it yet. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you so much. We are back to Omar, the Ravenous School. He was going to give us the rest of his list now.
I'll go quickly now. I'm entering my top 10 for my
That's
next five.
fine. That's fine. You
My-
don't have to go so fast. You can explain stuff if you want.
Oops, my next five, really, any one of them could be 10, 9, up to 5, basically. I mean, I just had to just throw them somewhere. So I'll start off with Marduk, the new one. Absolutely
Nice.
love it. Vicious, brutal, dark, evil album. So there's one. Next, going to Toronto, Blood Ceremony. The
Nice.
really great record. It's one of their best. Now, for this one, I'm going to Russia. This is Arcona, the new one.
Awesome.
Oh,
Folk metal,
nice.
very primitive folk metal with black metal elements to it. Absolutely love this record. After that, this is an interesting band. This is going to Colorado for this one. I really don't know how to describe their style because they're kind of in the category of their own almost. This is Wayfarer, the new one, American Gothic. This album really almost like it's Western Gothic heavy metal, and which you don't hear that often. But this album really is something that I played every time I play it, and after I'm done playing it, the album is just the music is just still in my head. I just can't get it out of my head. Basically, it's really a real catchy album. Recommend it if you've not heard it. After that, we're going to the Pacific Northwest for the new one from Uada, the fourth album.
Oh man, I didn't even hear that record this year.
Yeah, the album, their fourth album and their best. They really put together what they did their finest work on this one, their most complete record. So, absolutely love that one too. Next, and Steve, you mentioned an Irish band. I have another one here too. This
Okay.
one, the new one from Cruachan. The folk metal from Ireland. This is their 10th album. I've liked this band for years, but this is their best record they've ever made. They really saved their best for this one. Flawless record. It's very melodic. It's heavy, and the pace changes all the time, but it's a stunning album overall. So here we are. So now we're entering next. I don't listen to much deathcore. It's probably one of my least favorite categories of metal, but this band is different. Mental Cruelty. They're German. This album.
Oh, yeah.
They added more black metal elements and more symphony elements to it. So it's a much different than, say, other death metal bands. This album, I can't stop playing it. It's epic record, crushing, brutal. Give it a shot. It's brilliant. Okay, top 3. Enslaved. So absolutely love this band. Love them for years. Anything they make, I can't put it down. And this album, they do not disappoint. So wonderful record. Now, number 2 for this one, I'm going to New York. We're going to go to the Adirondacks, in fact. This band, Black Braid.
Yeah.
Black metal from the Adirondacks. It's the kind of music you play when you're in the forest. I mean, it's very melodic. It's great. It's absolutely fantastic record. And last, I have a soft spot for this band. Going to Australia for this one. This is Neo Blevis.
Oh yeah, good stuff.
So, wonderful record. Their 4th album. Every record they make is outstanding, and this one does not disappoint as well. So there we are.
Thank you so much for having us. It's a good, nice selection you had there. And I didn't even realize that Arcona had an album out this year. I'm under the radar. I'm off the radar with that. I got to hang out with them one time. I was drinking quite a bit with one of them at Roseland. No, it was Webster Hall actually. And I don't think he spoke any English, and I didn't speak any Russian, but we were having a good conversation. It was like toasting a drink every so often and nodding and yes. And
Steve, maybe check out that album. I've heard some of their other albums and I like them, but this one is just much more.
Yeah, I've seen them a few times.
It's different. They've changed it up. They just made it a lot more primitive, a lot more.
And that vocalist, I can't think of her name now.
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know either. Yeah, okay, but I apologize for that for fans out there, but she was really awesome when I'd see her. Cool. All right, so Jim, do you have any other picks that you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I have a couple. I have one that I listened to a lot this year. But when I looked at it, actually came out in 2022. Immolation, Acts of God, the album.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's when it came out.
Yeah, good album.
Yeah, totally right.
Hey, if you discovered it this year, that's what it is,
Exactly. And the new Autopsy, I didn't even know they had an album out. And, while I'm working, I got Spotify on a lot of times. And I kept hearing this song. Who the hell is this? And I looked over at my phone. I was like, I didn't realize they had an album out.
Yeah.
The new Dying Fetus album, they never disappoint. This album feels more old school than some of the previous stuff that they had put out. And then one of my last honorable mention is a underground band from Long Island, Immortal Suffering. They put out a EP. What the hell is it called? Extreme Horror. And it's just slam. They just slam from beginning to end. It's just breakdowns are pretty brutal. So I guess that's my honorable mentions.
Thank you for your time today again, Jim. It's great to have you on the channel.
No,
and
thanks for having me on.
everybody that's in the Mid-Hudson area, please come out next Wednesday and see Sick Bay with Escula Grind, Salt Pulse, and Come Arta. That's $20 at the door here in Middletown at Quinspin's, right around the corner from my shop. So stop out if you can.
Time. And Steve's, started putting these shows together. A little over a year now, right?
Yeah, a little bit over a year. We've got a place in Middletown. Thank God.
Yeah, and he's, Steve, you've done a killer job.
I've been working all day on shows today too, so
it's awesome.
All day long we've been talking about shows at work. I didn't have enough notes for this tonight because it was like this person calling about booking a show, but it's been fun. It's been a good ride. Hopefully we can keep it going for this year. We got stuff booked all the way into April now. So anyhow, we're gonna go back to thanks, Jim. I'm gonna go over to Mr. B Rock. See if he's got anything else he wants to add today.
Sure. There's always music to add. I mean, any one of these could have just, they're really in random order, but they are listed. Number 10 would be Joel Hoekster's 13.
Okay.
He's done some really good work. He's with Whitesnake. He's with Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And Joel Hoekster's 13 has been around for a few years and just really didn't catch on with me yet. And then I heard this and it was like, bam, it just exploded in my mind. He did brilliant guitar work. He's got Grish from Grish and the Chronicles doing the vocals. It's fantastic. It's just great album. It's called Crash of Life. Well, this didn't make it in here till today.
All right.
And I mean, I was kind of wanting this out, but I had to put it in. But 72 Seasons got to be in there. I mean, for me, I'm a huge Metallica fan, but disappointed in the last few years. Wired wasn't that great, blah, blah, blah. Didn't give this one much of a chance, but all the singles that came out were pretty good, except for one. And I really dove into the album today. And I was like, wow, there's some really good work on there. So they come in. Last year's top pick for me was a group out of Sweden, I think. It's called Perfect Plan. Kent Hilly does the vocals, and he's also a vocalist for Giant. And he released a solo album this year, and it was not a disappointment at all. It's called Nothing Left to Lose. That comes in for me at number 8. Just Kent Hilly, just phenomenal voice. Number 7, group I know out of New York. These guys are called Station. They released And Time Goes On, just a great melodic hard rock album. Chris Lane is a fantastic guitar player. Patrick Kearney, just a fantastic vocalist. Just shoots you right back to the 80s glam scene, kind of. And last but absolutely not least, guys out of New Jersey. Love this band back in the 80s. They really didn't get any dues. They had one album that kind of clicked, and then they come out in May with Heaven's Edge, Get It Right, and it was just a blast back to the past, and fantastic album by them guys out of New Jersey, Heaven's Edge.
Cool. Well, thanks for your time, and hey,
thank you.
Everybody check out B-Rock's channel and check out his podcast, and thanks for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me, man. It's been a pleasure.
Well, we hope we'll have you back again, because we're going to keep doing this for a couple months at least, till the weather gets warm at least. And we're heading over to Tony Dio and see what he's got to finish up with tonight.
Okay, I'm going to finish up with a few here. a band from Austria called Road Wolf. Out an album called Midnight Lightning. And it's just fist pumping, anthemic, heavy metal. You know, it's just really, really good stuff. Let's see. Ed mentioned the Jag Panzer, the Hollow. It's an excellent record, and yeah, they did do some great promotion stuff. I need to get that comic book to go with this. I don't. Band from Sweden called Air Raid that are on they're on High Roller Records. Great, just good power metal, heavy metal, you know, traditional metal. Really good record. Great guitar solos on this one. Going to this one is Cobra Spell. Now, this is
nice.
Anubis, who was in Burning Witches, and she was in Crypta for a while. This is her band that is like a total, you know, it's a throwback to 80s hard rock and heavy metal. All female band now. I've been following them for a couple of years. They've released a couple of EPs where they had a male singer on those, and they recently changed over and they're all female band now. This album's called 666. It's got some blistering guitar work on it. Just some really, really cool songs as well.
Forgot all about them.
Yeah, really, really cool band.
Too many releases this year.
Way too many. I mean,
that's too easy to forget.
Hey, that's a it's a good thing when you got too many, right?
Ralph mentioned the Triumph of Death. I got the deluxe album for Christmas. My girlfriend gave to me. It's the double album with the extra 7-inch. It's got a 24-page book in it. And John mentioned earlier where you hear something that kind of throws back to the old times and it makes you smile. And even though this is so dark and heavy, it just makes me smile to listen to it because I'm such a fan of Celtic Frost and Tom G. Warrior. And, you know, I love the Hellhammer, and it's so cool. And they recorded part of this at Hell's Heroes in 2023.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I wish I had gone. I'm just beating myself for not going to see that because they did a set of Hellhammer, and then the next day they did an all Celtic Frost set, and that would just been awesome to see. But yeah, this is a really, really good set. And wanted to mention this actually came out in 2022, but I think it was late 2022. I didn't get it till a few months back. But this band, they're from LA. They're called Leather Duchess. And my friend Tyler, he's the lead singer, and he sent this to me. And man, it's like, you know, when you used to get the Kiss albums and they in the 70s, and they came with all the goodies, the Love Gun, the posters and everything. This album was just chock full. I mean, it's like has a full booklet, like all about each band member. You know, 8x10 stickers, like a magnet. It even had a patch in it. And I was like, this was like, they really went all out with the packaging on this. They really did.
Awesome.
The band's they're just a kind of an AC/DC style hard rock, very much like Dangerous Toys. Actually, Jason McMaster from Dangerous Toys and Watchtower actually guest on one of the vocals on one of the songs, and just a really fun band. And just love the whole package on that. It's really cool.
Cool. Does that wrap it up for you, Tony?
Yeah, that's
all right. Cool. John McEntee, do you got a couple things you want to add to this?
Yeah, like I said, there's so much stuff that came out. I was just trying to find stuff that wasn't maybe mentioned that I thought was good this year. One that was mentioned, which I wanted to emphasize, which is really good, was the new Vomitorium, All Heads Are Gonna Roll. It's such a great kind of return album for them. It just came out full force. It's just what you want to hear from Vomitory, and yeah, they're just a great band, great guys, great band. I'm just so happy for them that they have such a new album that's been getting a lot of especially in Europe, they've really been getting, they noticed a lot. It's still a little more underground here, people, underground people probably know it, but I think in Europe they're really breaking out on this album, which is great. Another album that I really like is the Brazilian band Troops of Doom had an album out this year called Prelude to Blasphemy, an amazing album. And I had the pleasure of playing with them a couple times on our Brazilian tour with Crypta. And holy crap, It was so good. It totally had that old, like, I don't know, 89, 88 vibe of Sepultura live, you know, like the Schizophrenia, Morbid
Ooh.
Visions kind of vibe. And they even played like
Good thrash.
some of the old Morbid Visions songs and a couple off the first EP and stuff. So it was really, really a really great show. I mean, they did the old Sepultura songs real justice, and the new ones fit in flawlessly, and it was just great. It was extra special to watch them in their home country play because you know, I mean, Sepultura in general is just such a huge part of their metal culture there, and to, you know, witness that was just phenomenal. And while we're on the Sepultura thing, I really enjoyed the Cavalera Conspiracy, Morbid Visions, you know, recordings of those albums. I mean, that's that's a big risk for somebody like me. Like bands that re-record their classic albums, you get really nervous about. Even though Morbid Visions guitars were a little bit out of tune on that album, and the production wasn't the best. It's like I've been listening to that album for years, you know. So a lot of times, if bands do like a reversion of like an album, I almost prefer it to be like a live thing, kind of like what Hellhammer, I mean, with Troop Crimes of Death did. You know, I think is sometimes a safer bet because if it sounds a little bit more modern, it kind of makes sense because it's in a live environment. But I think I captured it good. Cavalera Conspiracy. I mean, it was a good, a good take on the old songs. I mean, I probably, like the original better, but just because I've, been listening to it forever, and it's an influence on me. But it was great to hear those songs with good production and the minor changes they did in some of the stuff. And then besides that, the new Fossilization album, which is a band I think I had on my list last year, which is kind of a total like death doom, little funeral-ish in there. The Leprous Daylight album was a really great album. I just like the band a lot. I like that bleak sound that they have. It's almost just an agonizing, like you just want to like slit your wrist or something kind of vibe, which is really, really a fun, a fun way to get out all the sucky things in life listening to an album like this. And then if I'm going down, one of my favorite albums too is one of our touring drummers band, Ascended Dead, Charlie. He's a monster on the drums, and for Ascended Dead, the whole band are monsters, and it was just a all-out brutal assault. It has like the old death metal vibe. It has a little bit of like that war metal vibe to it. It just you listen to it and you just want to tell everyone to fuck off. It's like it has it, so it's a really great fuck everybody album. And Even Fall of the Apocalypse is the name of the album, and it's if you're into really, really brutal, really brutal, aggressive, tight, but also rough edged death metal, it's definitely worth checking out. And I've seen it on a lot of people's year-end lists that are into that kind of stuff. I'm really happy for them because it is really a top-notch aggressive death metal album, in my opinion.
Cool.
So there you go. Right.
Cool,
And there's a million more. I'm sorry,
course.
I can't mention everything, but a lot of people mentioned some of the other bands, like I said. So yeah, it's a whole bunch of great stuff this year.
Thanks for joining us tonight, John. And I guess it's my turn to give the rest of my stuff, and I have more than 15, but I had 20. Honorable mention for me is Rolling Stones' Hackney Diamonds. It's kind of great to be able to hear the Stones for 50 some years now. It's not a bad album. It came out this year. And play a lot in the store. Regular rock, of course, but
yeah,
obviously Stones. And my number 20 is Cirith Ungol. My number 19 is KK's Priest. We've talked about it a little bit tonight already. I have Delane with Dark Waters, more symphonic stuff. I've got The Suffocation. We talked about already tonight.
Great album.
which is that was Suffocation was 16, I believe. Keep a Callician came out with Catharus this year, a little bit
Oh,
under.
Norwegian.
People haven't heard that too much. It was kind of under the radar coming out this year. No one's mentioned this one tonight. Insomnium with Anno 1696. I saw the tour with Enslaved earlier in the year down at the Gramercy. Omar mentioned this album. It is the mighty Marduk back with Memento Mori. Played that a lot this year. Another one that no one's mentioned is the other Brazilian female thrash band and our good friend Prika with Nervosa Jailbreak. It's a solid record. I've actually had people come in and really, they were like, "You put the crypto over that?" I'm like, "Yes, I did," but this is another. It's a strong record, and she's got a whole new lineup again from the last album. So
yeah, Prika's doing vocals now too, which is probably smart, especially if she's having lineup issues. At a certain point, like me, I had to just step up and do it. Prika's now stepping up and taking control, which I think is a great thing for them. You know,
Prika's great.
Prika is better than the previous one, I think.
Yeah, both very good. But Prika was, of course, a regular on the channel during the pandemic, and more power to her.
Actually, we'll be touring with Prika pretty soon. With
Are you?
We're doing. We're touring with it's Decapitated Us and Nervosa in Europe in was it March? But it's mostly Southern Europe. We're doing a lot of Balkans, Spain, Italy, stuff like that. You know,
that's gonna
France,
be a great
South
tour,
of
man.
France.
That's gonna be
it'll be a blast. Yeah.
Anyhow, I continue on with Overkill, Scorched. I have one that I don't have the prop here, but it's the Obituary. Dying of Everything is the next one on my list.
Party.
Which was number 11, and
they were like always reliable.
Yeah. Number 10 is All Out War, which Ralph is on, and we've mentioned a little bit tonight already. A couple guys have mentioned. I've got Immortal with the War Against All. What else do I have here? We're getting down to I got the Ne Obliviscaris, which was number 1 on Omar's list. I listened to this a lot. This has a lot to listen to. It's very musical, a lot of stuff. And no one's mentioned this. It's the new Rival Sons. They put out 2 albums this year. Dark Fighter came on strong for me in the end. I listened to it a lot, and I tell you what, this is played all the time in the shop. And we leave off with my number 6, which was number 5 on Pete Pardo's with Crypta, with the Shades of Sorrow. So that is my list for this year. And I did forget Blood Ceremony, so that's an honorable mention, but I don't know. I don't know why it's not in my pile, but I've been too busy. But anyhow, let's keep this moving, and we're going to go to Ed next. We'll go to Brad, Dennis, and Ovi and wrap this episode up. And I love everybody coming on tonight, and it's been a fun episode so far.
Absolutely.
Definitely fun. All right, I got 5 more special mentions. Cool. Honorable mention. Number 6, Incantation, Unholy Deification. Fantastic record.
Thank you.
Brutal as hell, John. Everyone's been talking about it for good reason. It's a great record. Next one down the list is another one everyone's been talking about, the new Autopsy. Just classic Autopsy, brutal Autopsy.
So good.
Somebody else mentioned earlier the best record they put out in a while. They're always good, but yeah, this record is like a return to real brutal Autopsy style. Just great shit. Next one, another one been mentioned a lot, Overkill, Scorched. I love Overkill, always have. First band I ever ordered a demo from, first band I ever saw live at Lemoore. Love Overkill, just about everything they've done, and Scorched it's scorching. It's a great thrash. 100% Overkill, great shit. Next one, Aggression, Frozen Aggressors, fantastic record. Like John said, I'm an old fan of Aggression, love them to death, love the early stuff. 40 years, been a fan of the band. This record is one of the strongest they've ever put out. Just really brutal record. Great musicianship and killer vocals. Check's on the way, right, Denny?
Check's on the way.
Yeah, that album really has a good rough edge to it. I really like it.
Absolutely.
Artwork is good too.
Oh, great stuff. Yeah. And my other honorable mention, my number 6 record of the year, Holy Moses, Invisible Queen.
Nice.
I always had a soft spot for Holy Moses. I love him to death. Got to correspond and pen pal with Sabina back in the early mid '80s. Got to meet her in person on a couple cruises and got to see them live, and just phenomenal band. This record is their last record. They just did their final show ever. Hopefully not, but they're saying it's the final show ever on Sabina's 60th birthday about last week or 2 weeks ago. And just a great band. This record is phenomenal. Great way to end their career. Just a killer career. Great band. Totally underrated band, but fantastic. So yeah, like everyone said, it's been a hell of a great year. A lot of great releases, a lot of old bands still putting out really, really strong stuff. So it's a good thing. I'm looking forward to next year. A lot of good releases on the way. Deceased, Blood Feast, Hyrax, Ruthless, Priest Stephen, Saxon. Gonna be another great year.
Saxon.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
Saxon's back. They're coming on tour with Uriah Heep in the
I
States.
can't wait.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, I try to catch that.
Cool. Here we go. Brad, do you have anything you want to add to end this up?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you guys pretty much mentioned every freaking album that I'm into too. I love that Overkill album as well, and the Autopsy is definitely killer. I just want to mention some local bands that put out some stuff. I'm including mine. I did Junk Food Patriotism. Check it out. It's on everything. It's pretty killer. A band that we play with a few times down here is called Virulence, and they have a new album called Necrosis out. It's pretty killer, man. It's pretty heavy, pretty thrashy. And another band from down here called Wire Throne, and they have an album out called Death for a New Life, I think it's called. I'm not sure. I think that's the name of it.
Okay.
But yeah, no, they're killer band, and they have a really good video out, and it has some guest people on there too. You guys would be pretty surprised who's on it. So those guys are definitely connected a little bit. I work with all those guys too, so it's pretty cool. There's a cool crossover hardcore like thrash band out there. I always love that crossover stuff called Drain. They actually have a really good album out too called Living Proof. This is my dog. He's being a pain in the butt, so I had to grab him. Yeah, and then the band that came rolling through here in the summertime really has like an obituary type feel to them. I think you guys would dig them. Frozen Soul.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, they're freaking killer, man. They're really good. I think they're out of Denver.
Dallas.
Yeah.
They're actually Dallas, yeah.
Oh, Dallas. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're really cool guys. Got to meet them, and yeah, they put on a killer show, and I really like the tunes they were coming out with. And
yeah, they've been blowing up lately.
Their new album is their new album. I should have put that in my honorable mentions. Was it Glacial Domination?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
My friend Brian loves it, and Brian drives us a lot to shows because he doesn't drink and stuff. And that CD is always playing in the car, so I kind of know it. I just,
Oh, it's killer. It's really good. I love when bands surprise me like that, and they're
it's
really,
kind of in that obituary vein a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody was picking the obituary. So if you haven't checked them out, definitely check out Frozen Soul. I think
really good band.
So that's it. This is Winston.
Hey Winston.
Hi, Winston.
He's my honorable mention. But yeah, and it was really cool to get on this and listen to all you guys' intake. And I actually wrote down a bunch of bands that you guys were saying that I ain't even checked out yet. So it's cool, man.
Cool.
Thanks for putting this on, Steve, man. It's really cool.
Thanks. I'm glad I tagged you in this today and you hopped in. I'm trying to just starting this channel up a little bit again with music talk, and we're going to try to keep it going through next few weeks and through the winter. It's a new season of Rock Fantasy Files. And here we are with the number one Sasquatch in the world here, Denny Bar. It's a Sasquatch sighting, and he's going to give us the rest of his list now.
Yes, all that and more. A couple things before I do my top five. Number one, thank you, B Rock, for the Vandenberg. I totally did fucking miss that it came out. I'm gonna check that out right after this show. And I thank you, Brad, for reminding me to do some local push. Cool band from Vancouver, BC called Terrifier. If you guys are into like Exodus, Warbringer, that type of thrash, they have a new album that came out this year, Trample the Weak, Devour the Dead. We toured with them across Canada, and check them out. They're really good musician. Top five. I think everybody mentioned everything I'm going to say in my top five. I'll go through it quickly. Five, Immortal, War Against All, completely crushing the second Abbott. Not even like, I don't know, in that kind of like black metal / death metal. Like it's really well done. Number four, Vomitory from Sweden. I think John mentioned it as well. All Heads Are Gonna Roll. They have a song called Rape, Strangle, Dead, something like that. It's absolutely fantastic. It's so good. Number three, Dying Fetus, made them beg for that. And just some of you guys mentioned, I don't know why them more than others, but they do something right, and it's just completely crushing death metal. Really well done. Number two, my friend John and Incantation. I was really like worried that he was not going to be able to deliver a strong album as Sect of Vile Divinities.
Yeah.
And he did just that. It's the like that band Incantation is like keep increasing their popularity even after all that time, and they're extremely hardworking. They're I don't even know if John remembers the color of his couch in his living room, but like these guys are on tour all the time, and not only they're amazing band, they're also super. Like we love like catching up with Luke out in Trois-Rivières in Quebec. It was so nice hearing him tell stories about Australia, and he died almost like 19 times while he was out there. But yeah, number two, Incantation, unholy deification. Number one, not from Dallas, but from Fort Worth, Texas, Frozen Soul.
Wow.
I don't know how these guys know anything about glacial domination, because I don't know, but they're doing everything right. I love kids that can just come out with like that extremely well done death metal. Like vocals remind me a little bit of like the good years of Morbid Angel, and they have a little bit of like Entomb, a little bit of it's a mixed bag of everything, but I don't know why. It's just extremely well done. And you guys mentioned it. They're coming here with like Amon Amarth and Cannibal Corpse and
that's right.
Obituary. Yeah. So like like similar to like Midnight, that's rising in popularity, and a few other bands. Like it's nice to see that there's some kids out there that can come out and kick our freaking asses like that. So. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
2023 and 2024 is going to be even better, guys.
Yeah. Let's hope so. So,
aggression album coming out? It can't be any better if there's no new aggression album.
So I do have Christian's picks, who was on last week, couldn't make it tonight. Christian Mariana, who I think I'm not pronouncing his name right still, but his number 5 was Prong, State of Emergency. A lot of people mentioned that on the Sea of Tranquility channel a couple weeks ago. Number 4 is Overkill Scorch. Number 3 is KK's Priest. Number 2 is the Serith Ungol, Dark Parade. And number 1, I don't think anyone's mentioned this tonight, there's a new metal church this year, the Congregation of Annihilation. And that was his number 1. So wanted to just get that in before I forgot. Sorry, Ovi, I didn't want to interrupt you.
That's all good.
So Ovi, let's hear you're gonna wrap this thing up right now.
Yeah, I'm going to take my honorable mentions first. Is the new album of Horrendous, and also the new album from Cryptopsy.
Okay.
And the new album from Cataclysm.
Yeah.
That's my honorable mentions. And for my number 10, it's Suffocation. Number 9 is Crypta. Number 8 is Marduk, their best album since Nightwing.
Wow.
And then we got some Terracite. Fantastic album. And then for my number 6, I'm gonna make you beg for death.
Wow.
Dying Fetus.
Cool. Cool. So anybody that's watching, please put your top albums in the comments from this year. And I tell you what, if the guys that are on this channel, if some of you guys can hop onto the channel tomorrow or whenever when I get this episode up, which will probably be in the morning, if you guys can write down some of your picks in the comments, that'd be awesome too. Especially
Sure.
some of the more obscure ones that people like to check out. And thanks. Please hit like, hit subscribe if you like what the channel's doing, and please support all the artists that were on here tonight, like John McEntee with Incantation, Jim with Sick Bay, and we got Aggression with Denny Bar, we got Brad with Must Not Kill, and Ed's got Armageddon Productions. Please go out and support these guys. And thanks for watching the Rock Fantasy. For John McEntee and for Ravenous School, Count Ralphus, Jim, B-Rock, Tony Dio, Ove, Denny Bar, Brad Mader, and Ed Farsley. Thanks for everybody for coming on and spending their Wednesday night with us tonight. We will be back next week, and I'm not sure what we're going to talk about yet, but we'll work on that.
Just tune in.
Just be here.
Brutal. Just be there.
See ya.